Hey Sunrise, Andrew here with your small group questions for this week as we dive into Genesis chapter 33, bringing our narrative to the conclusion of Esau and Jacob. So we have this picture of Jacob preparing for Esau's coming last week, then coming face to face with God, and now we have the completion of this narrative as Jacob now comes face to face with Esau. So how does this text bring that to a good conclusion? What do you make of some of Jacob's decision, how he rearranges his family to meet Esau, how he goes out in front of them? Are we seeing a new Jacob in the text? What are some of the things that stand out about Jacob in this interaction that seems to be a change from the beginning of chapter 32? As we come to 33, you're going to see some of these shifts take place. So how is Jacob different? So what are some of the examples you can see in the text that make you think of some of the changes that has taken place? And then as you read the text, what do you make of Esau? So you read this text, it gives us a much fuller picture of Esau now as an individual. Just 20 years later, life has changed. What do you make of Esau? And what do you make of even God's work through this whole situation? How has God blessed Esau as well? And so in this, you then see Jacob's pushing for Esau to keep the gifts. He's saying it's as if he's seen the face of God in their acceptance. How does that work with what we saw last week? How is that a parallel, if you will, with the wrestling match? What is Jacob trying to say in those words? And as you work through this testament of God, working through Jacob and Esau's reconciliation, what then do we see of the fact of Jacob not going with Esau? So Esau offers him, hey, let's travel together. Come join me in Seir where I live. Jacob kind of obfuscates a bit and says, yeah, you go on ahead. We'll meet up eventually. Why isn't Jacob going with him? What from the text points to the fact of why he wouldn't go? What is the purpose of him not going? And so why doesn't he just say that? There's lots of questions you can have, but what is the author trying to point us to in this text of why Jacob stays behind? And then lastly, what is the significance of the end of the text? So he comes, he builds Booz, he sets up land in Succoth, and then we have Shechem, where he then builds and buys land and builds this altar and names it. What is the significance of the altar and the naming and the purchasing of land for Jacob and ultimately for the whole Jacob Haran narrative? From the time that he left to the time that he's returned, why is this a significant moment? So we'll spend some time working through the text, again, hearing the sermon proclaimed on a Sunday, and again, thinking through some of these topics throughout the week. Can't wait to worship with you guys when we get back for chapter 34. Can't wait.